Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Nation newspaper. The major story here: federal government, no room for secession by any ethnic group. Living together, an obligation, not optional. Minister will end herder farmers' clashes. Another story here quickly: CBN extends suspension of cash deposit fees. At the downstrip, native doctor client held for burying man alive in failed fortification bid. A very sad story there. At the top corner, Gowon sterling leadership and inspiration, says Tinubu. NHF's 21 trillion are accessible for housing, says FHA. Now, DSS replaces Tinubu CSO, police free #EndSARS protesters in Lagos. Ekiti PDP wants Fayose expelled. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nation newspaper. To this Nigeria newspaper, 20 million out-of-school kids, potential Boko Haram bandits in 10 years. That's what former President Olusegun Obasanjo is quoted as saying. Only 1.5 trillion naira, representing 6.39% budgeted for education in 2024. Another story: cholera death toll hits 28,386 infections in Ebonyi. Black Sunday as bloody rival cult clashes, claim 17 in Anambra. FCT flags off 9 development projects in Abuja today. Tinubu didn't cause current economic hardship, says Akpabio. Proliferation of PhD degrees, a crisis in academic integrity. This is an editorial you might find interesting to read. The price of cooking gas now out of our reach. Some Nigerians are quoted as saying that. Some stories on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper. To the First News newspaper. Nigeria raising future Boko Haram. Obasanjo on the 20 million out-of-school children. Now, police arrest, release EndSARS protesters marking 4th anniversary of Lekki massacre. Army debunks rumors of Chief of Staff's death. Under Tinubu, we have hope, brighter future, Akpabio assures Nigerians. Heartache in the air, UK deports 44 Nigerians, Ghanaians. Ignore IPOB sit-at-home order, Enugu CP tells residents. Some story on the front page of the First News newspaper. Now to the Platform Times. Obasanjo warns 20 million out-of-school children, future Boko Haram recruits. The Defense Minister seeks collaboration from traditional religious leaders to tackle plateau crisis. Right? Crescent University produces 49 first-class graduates for 179 honors and 3 at 16 honors, 3 at 16th convocation. Now, another story: Nigerian Army denies death of Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. Some stories on the front page of the Platform Times. To Nigeria News Direct. Still talking about Nigeria's 20 million out-of-school children who the former President Olusegun Obasanjo is saying could be potential Boko Haram recruits. Another story here: PMS hits 1,090 naira per litre in Lagos as marketers adjust pump price again. NDLEA arrests nurse, 2 businessmen at Lagos airport over cocaine loud trafficking. And 11 dead as cult group clash in Oka. Power grid current upgrade of infrastructure to prevent frequent collapse will take 2 years. TCN Managing Director, that's the transmission company of Nigeria, Managing Director, quoted as saying that. Now we'll move to the front page of the Salient Times. EndSARS Memorial. Police disperse crowd, arrest demonstrators in Lagos. Police release EndSARS protesters hours after detention. Police beat brutalized us. EndSARS Memorial protesters narrate ordeal. And surging River Benue displaces Makadi residents, submerges houses, farmlands. Police trace relatives of man whose lump died. Well, a sad one there. Leave that story there. Can find details on the front page of the Salient Times. To the leadership newspaper now. 4 years after #EndSARS, police brutality, rights abuse persist. Stakeholders worried, call for urgent reforms. Police release #EndSARS anniversary protesters. It was a missed opportunity. Expert quoted saying that. And another story here. Flood Borno committee verifies 55,000 households. And those are some of the major stories you find on the front page of the leadership newspaper. To the Daily Independent newspaper now. Auto experts doubt success of federal government's CNG vehicle conversion initiative. Say initiative lacks proper planning, safety questionable. Facilities, spare parts, expertise, processes may be compromised. Standards Organization of Nigeria lacks capacity. And another story here, Sarap urges Tinubu to stop using DSS proxies to suppress voices. Some stories on the front page of the Daily Independent. To the Daily Trust, still talking CNG, commercial drivers, others task government on infrastructure, refueling stations. The cry high conversion cost. Petrol filling stations should be made to install gas facilities. And police arrest, release #EndSARS memorial protesters. And the Jigawa tanker explosions death toll now has hit 180, according to reports. A sad one there. Some stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. To the Daily News Hub. Lagbaja not dead. That's what the army is quoted as saying. Breaks silence on rumors, says it's fake news. Pulls out 15 artillery generals from service. And another story here says, APC will capture all Southwest states, but I won't reveal our strategy. Kenduje is quoted as saying that. Some stories on the front page of the Daily News Hub. To the Blueprint now. Mob action, jungle justice and police personnel worry Inspector General of Police, orders probe. Inspector slain in Edo Quarry attack. Okada riders kill officer in Lagos. Anambra cult clash claims 24 in Rivers. Gunmen attack. Now, only 17% SDGs healthcare target on track. That's what the World Health Organization is quoted as saying. And Super Eagles star Boniface survives auto crash after team's victory. A sad one there, but we can only wish him a quick recovery. Olamide.
I begin here with the Daily Times. Why we reject the federal government IPPIS, GIF, MIS, insist on the UTAS. That's according to ASU. Says finances of universities should be managed by their governing councils. EPP can solve infrastructure challenges and power others. The ICRC boss is quoted as saying, and a World Bank report here says only 4.1% of Nigerian workers will benefit from the minimum wage increase. 4 years after the #EndSARS protest, human rights abuses by police still rampant. An Amnesty International report is saying it urges the federal government to address human rights violation by the police. Lagos CP orders release of detained 4th anniversary protesters. And a picture story here shows the National Emergency Management Agency alongside local officials conducted a comprehensive flood disaster assessment in 5 local government areas in Delta State. The major stories on the front page of the Daily Times. To the Inquirer, 2 murders send shock waves in Abuja. Principal OAP murdered. Central inmates detained by the police. United Kingdom deport 44 Nigerians, Ghanaians in single nights. And the scourge of out-of-school children, Wiki tells the UBAC. And a report here says drug may stop migraines before headache starts. The major stories on the front page of the Inquirer. To the New Telegraph on the local government financial autonomy, anti-corruption agencies to deploy tracking system as the federal government seeks grassroots development to reduce rural urban migration, containing security, create job orders. The judge urges Kekiriakun to end judicial rascality, says judiciary becoming offensive to Nigerians. on prison congestion. Lawyers push for restorative justice system to expedite conflict resolution. Another story here says the federal government's collection cost up 83.7% to 698.75 billion naira. Next election key to APC, Tinubu's re-election. Ganduje says party is strategizing to win in Oyo and Osun. Akpabio admits economic malaise assures Tinubu government will guarantee better future. The study here shows caffeine in blood might affect body fat, diabetes risk. Some stories on the front page of the New Telegraph to the Hope. On the Ondo State governorship election, I expect 90% vote for Aida Tiwa. The chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, says as Southwest APC Governors Forum meets party stakeholders. National Exco of the party orders rally support. Jigawa commissioner to appear in court today on alleged sex scandal. Community policing will tackle growing insecurity in Nigeria. Some stories on the front page of the Hope to the Punch. The big story here. Grid collapses 105 times in 10 years despite $1.4 billion loan. Government fails to access additional $2.96 billion World Bank approved electricity infrastructure loans. Buhari records 93 grid losses. Tinubu 12. Incessant grid collapse worries the NERC consumers. The major story on the front page of The Punch. The Business AM, federal government seeks 1.1 billion naira private sector funding to boost power sector. Nigeria's inflation rebound stokes concerns of worsening economic woes. The major stories on the front page of Business AM to the national economy. Burden of multiple taxation. Federal government states local government imposed 39 charges on MSMEs. The government should abide by harmonized inspection agreement reached with the MSMEs. Nigerian banks in challenge of seamless systems upgrade. Are among Africa's lowest performing currencies. That's according to the World Bank. Let's go to the Nature News. Tax Fund chairman unveils Abuja Furniture Expo logo. The Nature News also named in that NNPC retail empowers over 1,000 auto mechanics with CNG skills. And finally, on Sporting Live, Boniface, thanks God, suffers 2 hand injuries. 356 million naira Mercedes car damaged. Walker with Saudi wish list and Man City Liverpool to fight for Bonatet. The major stories on the front page of the newspapers this morning, Vern.
All right. I believe our viewers have been updated and that any story that interests you, you can get more details if you pick any of the papers that we have looked through this morning.